welcome to this new series of videos inside A Deeper Peace of Mind. And this course this time is called Reflections on Nature. And the reason this is a subject close to my heart at the moment, so if you've been following me, you can't have failed to notice my slight obsession with the garden at the moment. So I have been, since the beginning of 2020, I've been spending a lot more time in my garden, growing, sowing, giving away flowers with my floral project. And I've never been, I'll caveat this, right? I've never been really actively engaged in nature before. And I know that's not the case for many of you. I know that many of you have a very deep and meaningful relationship with nature. But for me, it was something new. So my whole life up until 2020, not my whole life, but a big chunk of my time has been spent here in my office, in front of my computer, working with clients, learning, studying, training, watching videos, listening to podcasts, learning more about this 3 principles of understanding so that I can spend more time supporting you guys. And I've had a very indoors lifestyle. And what has happened for me over this year is a deep connection with nature. And so it felt really relevant. I couldn't not talk about what I've seen about that in this Deeper Peace of Mind course, where I get to share whatever is really current, present and true for me at the moment. So I just wanted to share with you a couple of things that I've seen. What is looking really apparent to me at the moment, looking out the window, they've got trees and there's a little rose that's just popped out, keeps catching my eye. But what I see and what I'm going to be covering as we go through here is that nature is such a wonderful teacher. There are opportunities to see the principles in action wherever we look in nature. And so I really want to invite you over the next month to take some time outside. I want to take some time, if we're allowed to, at this current time of lockdown or not lockdown or semi-lockdown, to go walk in the woods, to go find a beach, to go find a lake, to go out into our own gardens, if nowhere else, or our own balconies. And to spend some time to see what nature can show you about the principles. So when we consider nature itself, to me that is the parallel between what nature is and what mind is the same thing, right? So when we look at, if we ask you to describe what is nature, you would say to me, or you'd find it really hard to describe. You could describe the form, you can describe what happens as a result of nature. So you could describe to me flowers, beautiful flowers, trees, lakes, beaches, everything that's in nature, forests, woods, grass, everything that we see as a result of nature. But those would be the forms that nature creates. So nature itself is this invisible, can't be seen, can't be touched, can't be measured, can't be captured and shown to you that this is nature. Can't really be described because it's formless. But it's this power that generates forms. And without nature, nothing, right? And nature is the source of every form that we see in the natural world. It's the source of everything we see in the not so natural world. It's the source of this vase as much of it is as it is of the flowers, because it's the source of human beings who came up with the ideas to create the vase, right? So it's this force that no one ever teaches us what it is, but we know, right? You have a knowing of what nature is in a level beyond just what your mind thinks about nature. You get it, right? And when we're talking about the principles, and sometimes it seems really hard when you're trying to process it on an intellectual level, like, but what is mind? If you're saying it's God, then I don't know if I believe that, or whether that I agree with that or don't agree with that. Or if you're saying it's a divine energy, I'm not sure, I don't get it. Tell me more about this mind thing. But actually, we already know mind in the way that we already know nature. And no amount of thinking about nature is going to help you get a better sense of it. It already is. And we know it. And mind is the same. In fact, they're just, in my mind, kind of two different words for the same thing. So if I say to you, you know what nature is, right? And you go, yeah, then you know what mind is. It's the same thing. So it's the creative force behind the whole of the universe. And from that nature come infinite forms. Like I am very new in my learning about nature, but my goodness, just the varieties of dahlias that I'm seeing at the moment, or the varieties of grasses that there are, the varieties of trees, the varieties of animals, nature's different species, butterflies, right? And ones we haven't discovered yet, and ones that haven't evolved yet. They don't exist yet. But all of those infinite variety of forms, and including future forms, are the product of nature. So they are, in the same way that we are a form, every dahlia, every flower, every tree is a form. It's like there's one thing creating 10,000 things. That's the source of 10,000 things. But at the essence and the source of every one of those things is one thing taking many forms. That's what we mean by the oneness of life. That's what we mean by mind. That's what, to my mind, Sid saw when he had his enlightenment experience and he saw the truth behind life. He saw the divine nature of life. He saw that he was God. He saw that everything is God. And so we make it, sometimes we make it feel like it's really complicated, but it's a really simple direction to look in. What if everything is all the same? We get so distracted into looking at how people are different, right? There's so much division, if you go looking for it, in politics, in religion, in between races, between genders, between ages, between the haves and the have-nots. If you are interested in the world of division, different types of varieties of dahlia, right? Like if you're interested in the world of division, there are some really cool things that you can see. Like the power of thought allows me to divide the oneness and have an experience of a cosmos flower, a dahlia, and a zinnia, right? None of which I knew the names of a year ago, by the way. But now I have concepts and ideas, and thought helps me divide those flowers up. I couldn't have done that a year ago. And I love that I can, because it allows me to plant the right plant at the right time of year. If I couldn't divide, if nature wasn't divided into form, if I couldn't use the power of thought to create division and separation, my garden would be a mess. So the power of thought and the ability to divide things, this and not that, is hugely, hugely useful. But as human beings, we can also use that power of thought to analyze and judge and criticize and go, I'm not like them and they're not like me and they should do it different. And you know, if we look in that direction, what we see is more and more and more division in a not particularly helpful way, to my mind. I'm interested in looking back, away from the division to the oneness. When I'm out in the garden, yes, of course I love and fall in love with all the forms, right? They're so beautiful, why would you not? But I'm also really curious about the oneness, this one energy that keeps pushing up plants regardless of what's going on in the world, right? This impetus towards life and healthy life as well. And now there are plants that fall over. There are amazing dahlias that come up with really weird, strange heads and bits of petals missing and weird colours. But they're all just sitting there being. None of them need fixing. They're all just, it's a messy old business, the growing in nature, right? It's not uniform. It's not perfect. It never goes as you think it should, right? The weather is crazy. The slug attacks and the aphids and there's all these, life is a contact sport in the garden. But the underlying power of nature to keep pushing towards growth, to pushing towards thriving. Growth, yes, but thriving is undeniable. Otherwise, no garden, right? But that's the power of mind. That's the power of nature. That's what we've all got going for us, is that there is this undeniable force that pushes us towards thriving. And if we are up for looking we can get to see the one thing that's behind all of it, the essence that's behind all of it. And that's, to me, is always the most helpful direction to look in our lives, in our gardens, and to get an appreciation and be touched by that. Like, I was going to say, you cannot fail to walk in the woods and notice the one nature creating all these amazing different varieties of form. But you can miss that. I've missed it for years. I have been walking my dog in the same woods for 7 years, and I've never seen that woods in the way I'm seeing it now. Because instead of being present to nature, which is in front of my eyes, I'm very lucky where I live, there's a lot of nature around. And instead of being present to that nature, I have been spending time, I will walk through the woods and I'll be thinking about you guys, right? Or I'll be thinking about this video, or I'll be thinking about, just thinking about, not being. And so I totally missed the walk. You could have said to me, do you see all the hollies out? And I'll be like, is it? Even though I've walked past, sometimes holly not there and sometimes holly there, I couldn't tell you whether it's there or not because it's so up in my head, so not present to what's going on. So you can fail to notice it, but the invitation is there for you this week to go find some outside space and to reflect on the oneness behind all those forms and see what you see for yourself about it.